All right, guys, so now we're going to move on to some solo drills that we can do based on just some free space in your home. It doesn't need any equipment or anything like that, and it's just going to give you an opportunity to really practice some of your basic movements and help to kind of isolate that muscle memory so when we come back and we can actually get on the mats, you're not moving slow and sluggish. So we're going to start with obviously one of the most basic ones, which is just going to be a shrimp. So we're going to be on our back, one leg up, other leg straight, and we're going to look to turn away from the leg that's pointed up towards the floor. Push my hips back, and then I like to pull myself forward. Again, if you're looking at minimum space, we want to do a lot of drills where we can stay in place. And the good thing about this is it allows me to work both my forward and my backward shrimp. So rather than just using it as a way to move back and up the mats, now when I pull myself back forward, I'm working both my backward shrimp and I'm working my forward shrimp. So I shrimp my hips backwards, and now I have to use the same motion but in reverse to pull my hips forward. Shrimp out and shrimp back. Kind of gives me the ability to do both. Now, one of the other things that is an excellent opportunity to work on is our ability to roll. So we want to try to do some different variations of that. So we can start with some basic shoulder rolls in place. We're going to start sitting in kind of a samurai position. I'm going to put both hands on the ground, and I'm going to let one hand come and touch my knee, drop my shoulder to the mat, look behind me, and my feet come over, and I'm going to scoot myself back to my post. Now I'm going to the opposite side. My hand comes through, and then I move myself back. We want to make sure that we have the ability to roll. It's one of those things that's very essential to jiu-jitsu, especially when it comes to things like guard retention. If you can't really Granby or you can't invert, your ability to defend your guard is going to be very limited. So now's an excellent opportunity to kind of work on those skill sets. So now when people come back, you have an impassable guard. So another thing we're going to work on is the Granby. So for the Granby, I'm going to look to make sure that I get on top of my shoulders. So I want to make sure that I'm tucking my chin. My hand's going to go behind my back. And I use that as kind of a guidepost. As I roll onto my side, I push myself up onto my shoulder and roll through. Going back the other direction. Now the key to the Granby is making sure that I'm really tucking my chin and I'm focusing on getting the back of my shoulders on the mat. One of the common mistakes that we see is that when people go to Granby, instead of going up on their shoulders like so, they're going to go flat on their back. So as they go to roll, they end up doing this kind of a motion, and they end up facing the opposite direction. So we want to make sure that as we look to invert, I'm not going on my back. I'm rolling up onto my shoulders. So I really need to make sure I tuck my chin and roll on top of my shoulders. My feet need to be in front of me to do an effective Granby. Now, one way that I like to practice to baby my way up into this is just getting comfortable with the ability to roll back. So one of the things that I'll do to get comfortable with being on the back of my neck and just kind of getting the sense of how that feels is I'm going to let my feet come up over my shoulders, just like so, and now I'm up on my neck. This is the perfect Granby position. The more comfortable it can be here, the easier it is for me to turn it into a rolling motion so I can practice that drill. So now it's definitely an excellent opportunity for you guys to work on those skill sets. So whether you're starting very basic, just rolling backwards, getting used to and comfortable being on the back of your neck and on your shoulders, it's an excellent way to kind of work your way up into the Granby. Now, one of the other drills that we're going to look at are some basic in-place movement drills. So we have our egg beaters, rotating our hips in and out. This again helps with our guard retention skills and just that dexterity that we'll need to be able to play guard. We can start to do things like triangle bites, which is an excellent way to help build some of the core strength necessary to be an effective guard player. One of the things that I like to do, and as you get better at this, to really emphasize and turn this into an effective drill, is as I come up, I'm going to look to snap 2 triangles, and I always want to try to get used to the habit of pulling my legs back into my chest. So rather than just going up and triangling, I'm going to go up, triangle, triangle, pull. So now I'm always getting used to that pulling motion, which is going to effectively translate to my triangles later, because triangles don't come on right away. It's one of those things where you have to really focus on breaking posture. So if we're always in our drills snapping and visualizing that we're breaking posture, this is just going to help us as we get back on the mats. And these are some of the basic solo drills we can do at home.